collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Megatron from the Transformers Studio Series from Hasbro. This is based on his appearance in Transformers 1. It is number 114 in the Studio Series. Some really nice artwork of Megatron here on the front. Have the standard open packaging so you can reach right in and touch the figure. Over here on this side, we have a close-up of that same artwork of Megatron. Over here on this side, we have more of a zoomed out. So I always think it's funny they use pretty much the same artwork, just kind of zoom into 3 different angles just to kind of trick you into thinking it's different artwork. But got the Transformers 1 logo there on the top, not really anything going on the bottom. And then over here on the back, we have some nice product shots of the robot mode and the tank mode. So yeah, I'm excited for this one, mostly because they never did Megatron in the Prime Changers series. They kind of did a couple characters over there. So I'm hoping they're going to scale. We'll check that out a little bit later in the video, but I need a Megatron for my Transformers 1 shelf, and this should do it. So I'm going to go ahead, get him out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Megatron in the backdrop that's included. I believe it's the exact same backdrop that was included with Optimus, so I don't think there's anything new there. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the Transformers 1 figures we get in the Studio Series have this same backdrop. But yeah, he fits the space pretty nicely, and he looks pretty good standing there. So here is Megatron out of the packaging. I think he looks pretty good. I will say, though, he feels very kind of stiff, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But, he doesn't really have a lot of kibble. Very clean-looking robot mode. From the back, though, it looks just very gray, and there is something we can do in a minute to remedy that. But, I mean, really just you have a little bit of the tank treads here, and everything else is just really gray. It kind of just, when you first take it out of the packaging, it feels super basic. And I know it's not, and I'll show you what I mean, but I don't know. It feels almost like a Titan figure, like one of those large Nutcracker-y type things, just because it's got such a clean robot mode and it just feels kind of stiff. But I don't know. But I do think it looks good. I mean, the back notwithstanding, you have some really nice paint applications here, all the red in the chest. I do wish he had a Decepticon symbol. I feel like that's missing. I think the head sculpt looks pretty good. Those red eyes look nice and menacing. The face is nicely painted. The helmet looks good. All that detail there in the chest, I think, looks pretty good. So, the head can swivel side to side. I think it's on a ball joint. You have a little bit of wiggle back and forth, but mostly just side to side movement. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder, and you can kind of see it's just like a ridiculously long stem. And it just kind of feels really hollow there. I don't know why, but this feels more like not Studio Series quality, just kind of like a cheaper figure. Not necessarily a problem, but just the long stem ball joint with the hollow. I mean, he does get a nice range of motion there, which is nice, and it can go all the way around. But, I don't know. Like I said, looks good here from the front, but then from the side, not so much. You have a bicep swivel here, which is really loose on mine. Really, really loose, which is kind of a bummer. But he does have double jointed elbows, mostly for transformation, but of course you can utilize them in robot mode. You do have a wrist swivel. You do have a waist swivel there. Kick pretty far forward here in the leg. It's a little hollow, not as hollow here, but you can see a little hollow there. Now, he doesn't have a thigh joint here where you'd kind of expect. That's for this weird kind of bending joint that you're going to use for the tank transformation. But you do have his swivel here right above the knee, as you can see. And then the knees are clicked into place, so you have to unclick them to get the knee movement, which isn't a problem. But for whatever reason, his right knee on mine is ridiculously tight. Ah, God, that sounds terrible. Every time I do it, it just really clicks in there. I don't think it's doing anything wrong. I don't think it's any stress marks or anything, but it just sounds terrible. So I kind of just like to, once you unclick it, if I'm not putting him into vehicle mode, then I'll just kind of leave him like that, just so I don't have to keep doing that over and over again. And then you got pretty decent ankle tilt. It's not amazing, but you have decent ankle tilt there. And because of the transformation, you can go front to back as well. And then you got a tiniest little bit of yellow paint there on the toes. So overall, I think the robot mode's not bad. Like I said, it can feel a little static. But if we kind of, move him around a little bit, put him in a little bit pose, a little bit better. Now, he does have a ton of accessories as well. So you have this kind of dark gray metallic-y painted piece here, which is going to peg into this little spot here on the back. So you have this kind of little piece that moves up and down here on the back, and you're just going to go ahead and peg this in there. And then you can see that it has these 2 tabs, and they're going to tab in here on the back right there. So you just kind of push that in. So that gives him a little bit. I mean, it's still gray. It doesn't break it up a ton, but it gives him a little bit of a backpack and breaks the gray up a little bit. Now he's got these two little guns, which you can do lots of different things with. You could peg it onto the side of the forearm. You could peg it into the hand, whatever you want. Standard little guns. Gosh, you can see how loose that is. I hate that. But the directions also suggest pegging them in here to the back. So you could peg these in. Unfortunately, I mean, you can try, but I think it would look cooler to peg them in this way. So they kind of be like up there on the back. But because of the contour and how they have this like bulging piece, you can't really do that, unfortunately. But they suggest just pegging them in here like this on the back. Of course, he also comes with his fusion cannon, so we'll peg this into this forearm to complete that look. And then he has a kind of smaller gun that you can put on the other forearm. It has a little spot right here. It doesn't actually peg in, it's actually a tab. So it tabs in right above the wrist. So there you go. So that's bulked him out a little bit, giving him a little bit more of a discernible profile. The other thing you can do if you don't want this on the forearm here, you can open up the backpack and you can peg it in here. So using that same connection point, you can pop that on there and then just swing it back down, and that just kind of stores away. So it kind of makes this look like a jetpack almost, which is kind of neat. But yeah, so that's nice. You have a lot of nice options for storage of the accessories. And I think the fusion cannon is a little small, but it works. I think it's fine. So yeah, overall, not bad articulation, not bad paint. Like I said, the back's very plain, but it's the back, so it's really not that big of a deal. And then just real quick, we'll pop out here a little bit so I can do some size comparisons here. So here he is with Studio Series Optimus. Optimus definitely feels like bulkier. Megatron's very lean and mean, but I think they scale pretty well. And then here is a Prime Changer Optimus. So if you were not really going in for Studio Series, but you're trying to fill out the roster a little bit, because Prime Changers, for whatever reason, did like 4 or 5 figures and then just stopped completely. So now I will say Optimus is maybe one of the smaller ones from Prime Changers, but I feel like if you were trying to, just get this Megatron because they never did him in Prime Changers, maybe wouldn't scale the best. It's not terrible, but you can see it's a little off. So I just wanted to show that off. Obviously it does scale with who it's supposed to scale with. The two Studio Series, I think, look really good together. I just wish, like I said, it's very strange how they skipped out on core characters from that Prime Changers line. They didn't do Elita 1, they didn't do Megatron. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a little weird, but I was kind of hoping they were going to do another wave, but it doesn't really seem like it because the movie's gone and the toys have been kind of stagnant. But we'll see. In any case, these two look pretty good together. Alright, so for the transformation, I've gone ahead and removed all of his accessories. You could probably leave the backpack piece on if you wanted to, but it's just easier to take it off and reattach it later. So we're going to start off here with the back section. We're going to lift these panels up like this. We're going to lift up this little tank tread piece. We're going to lift the foot up like that. And then this is going to spin around like this. And then kind of bring the tank tread piece down like that. We're going to do the same thing over here. Lift this up, bring this up, spin this around. And the feet don't really peg in. They just kind of sit there, but you'll see it kind of gets taken care of a little bit later on. At this point, we're going to spin this around 180 at the thigh swivel. And then you want to move the arms up out of the way so that you can kind of bring these up and then use that bend like that. I feel like this is becoming like a standard move for Megatron to have that bend at the thigh like this. Almost the same way Prime's arms always go into the side. It's becoming the standard Megatron move. But there you go. So that's where we're at with that. Then we are going to open up the headpiece here, or the chest plate, I should say. Spin the head around 180 degrees. And then fold this into the chest. And then you can see that there's actually like another hinge here, and this is going to flip up around like this, so that this piece is not on the back, it's on the front. Then you're going to take the arms, and you're going to want to spin them around, because this tab is going to tab in here. So you want to bring this around, and then right before you tab that in, you want to spin the hand like that, and tab that in using the double jointed elbow. There we go. And then you're going to kind of bring this, leave that there, spin this around, and this will just kind of rest against the leg like that. So repeating that process, you're going to spin this around, bring this up, spin the hand, tab this in, and then bring this around so it just kind of sits there. So at this point, you're going to bring this all the way down, and this can get a little tricky, but what you're going to do is you're going to make sure these are all straight. And if you haven't clicked the legs back into place, you want to make sure that those knees click. So you're going to bring this piece around. You can see that there's a tab on the inside right there. That's going to tab in right there. Then this little hook here is going to kind of hook into the foot at the top. And you can see like this cutout is going to sit here. But then like at the same time, this tab needs to tab into the side of the chest here. So you kind of have to like bring this back, kind of wiggle this out a little bit. Bring this in. Make sure everything lines up, which can kind of be a pain. But, and then peg that into the side. So once you're done, this will kind of peg in here. This little hook will kind of hook onto the foot like that, and then that will kind of sit on there. So repeat the process over here. Bring this up. Okay. There we go. And then peg it into the side of what was the chest. And I don't have everything perfectly lined up, but you can get there pretty easily. Okay, and then you can see that is the majority of the tank mode. At this point, we're going to take these little pieces off and this little piece off, remove this piece from here. You're actually going to take the fusion cannon and peg this into the front of it, so now it kind of has this new barrel for the tank. And then you're going to connect that using this tab and this tab spot right here. And that is going to peg on like that. And then you're going to just pop this back on where it was right here. And there is your Megatron tank mode. I did fail to mention, these pieces, you can kind of do whatever you want with them. The directions tell you to peg them here on the sides. Like this. If you wanted to leave them here on the sides of the turret, you absolutely could. Whatever you prefer. You have a little bit of room to maneuver these. But yeah, the directions tell you to put them on the side. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's a decent tank mode. I wish I could pop this together a little bit better, but I think it's hard to get those peg holes to line up just because you can't see them. But it holds, I mean, it holds together well enough. It's not, you know, even if it's not 100% pegged in, it's going to stay where it's supposed to be. As far as the turret goes, you can lift it up and down because of that piece, and because it's just pegged in, you can spin it a little bit side to side. So you have a decent range of motion there. But yeah, I don't know. Mine kind of sits bow-legged, and I don't know if it's something I did wrong, which is very possible, but I don't know. It's okay. It's... I don't know. I mean, it looks like the movie. I'll give it that. That is what he looks like in the movie. No wheels or anything, so it doesn't roll at all. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand why Megatron's always a tank now. I totally get it. But some of these tanks are a little uninspired, in my opinion. I don't hate it. I don't love it. And the transformation's fine. I mean... The robot mode looks fine. It gets to the tank mode perfectly fine. I don't know. This just, to me, this feels more like a drone tank than the leader of the Decepticons, if that makes sense. Like, I understand when he got this form in the movie, he didn't start out that way. You know, he was just another person. But yeah, I don't know. This just, it doesn't feel grand enough to be Megatron, in my opinion. But that's just me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. Transformation is not too bad. There's a couple clearance issues from time to time, but it's not too frustrating or anything like that. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this just feels more like a tank drone I would see in Beast Machines than the leader of the Decepticons. So I think Megatron's fine. Looking at this just as a figure, you know, I think the robot mode's fine. It's a little lanky. You know, I wish it was a little bit bulkier, more imposing for Megatron, but the paint applications are good. Articulation's not bad. Accessories are good. He actually has a lot of accessories. Head sculpt looks good. Transformation's not bad. Couple clearance issues in spots, things like that, but overall, not too difficult to transform. Vehicle mode's fine. Again, I feel it's a little boring, but I think I can't really complain about that for this figure because the figure is doing what it's supposed to do. It's representing the character in the movie, and so my design problems aren't really with the toy designers. It's more the movie designers. And I think, and this is kind of a weird aside, but I feel like they should have marketed this figure as D16 and not Megatron. Now I understand Megatron is the name that everyone knows. That's what you're going to put on the box for marketing. But this figure is really more D16 because he doesn't have any, you know, Decepticon markings. He's lanky. He's less imposing. That vehicle mode is kind of right after he got the cog. So, yeah, I feel like later on when he becomes Megatron, he's a little bit more bulky and more imposing. And maybe they thought they were eventually going to do a second figure. At this point, I don't think that's going to happen. But if you just kind of look at this as more D16, I think everything's fine. You know, I still think the vehicle mode is a little boring, but that's, again, my personal preference. And again, that's more at the movie designers and not the toy designers because they faithfully recreated that design here. So it's not on the toy designers. So, again, I think it's fine. You know, I still wish they had done him in the Prime Changer line. I probably would have just gotten that. But this is a fine toy. Again, judging it purely as a toy, head sculpt's good, paint applications are good, articulation's fine. Couple of weird loose joints on mine. It's funny, this is really loose, and then when I'm trying to unstick his knee, it's really tight. So I don't know what that's about, but hopefully your copy won't have any of those issues. Overall, I think it's a fine deluxe class entry into the Studio Series. It just doesn't feel super Megatron to me. Like, yes, it's Megatron. Obviously, if you look at it, it's gray. He's got the helmet. It's Megatron. But he should be bulkier. He should be more imposing. He should be... His presence should be more commanding. And this guy just feels kind of lanky. Maybe would have benefited from being a Voyager instead of a Deluxe. I don't know. Or do like Deluxe D16 Voyager Megatron after he gets... Spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie yet. Spoilers. After he gets Megatronus's cog and bulks up a little bit. And maybe that was the plan. Maybe originally there was going to be a second figure. I don't think that's going to happen now. But in any case, purely based on this as a figure, I think it's fine. As Megatron, it's a little underwhelming. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I overreacting? Do you agree? How do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.